Patrick Valentine. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where I play my games. Even talk about wrestling. Even talk about anime. I can't get no satisfaction completing every game to 100%, even if it may seem very tough. Get to the end. I will push hard to reach the end, even if it may seem tough. Complete the game. It doesn't matter what I play, I will achieve victory. Yeah, you will see my gaming prowess. Take me to the end, It doesn't matter what I play, I will push my limits. You will see me reach to the very end. Yes, welcome to my channel. My gaming skills will take me to the end. Like and subscribe! If tonight's SummerSlam taught me anything, or I should say today's SummerSlam, because it was on frickin' early in the morning here in Australia. If this SummerSlam has taught me anything, then this definitely proves my points when I say WWE is really in a slump, and there was really nothing. Well, there are some positives I can give, but just not as much. So welcome to the Night 1 SummerSlam review. I'm not going to say much. And honestly, this was a very disappointing and a very shit SummerSlam. I have to be honest. It was very disappointing. The only real OMG crazy moment was the ending, the main event. That was really it. But other than that, there's just not a lot of good things. So the show kicked off with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. I mean, Jesus, the fact that Roman Reigns is opening a pay-per-view is the biggest surprise of 2025. Because he is always main eventing shows. He is always main eventing. Because there was even talk of saying that this match was gonna main event, and if it did, then that would have been utterly crazy. But Roman and Jey took on the Bronze. I'm just gonna call them the Bronze because they're both because both of their names are Bronze. We had 3 Bronze, but now we have 2, and they're obviously better than the other one. But anyway, Roman and Jey would win this match. Very predictable. This was a very predictable one. Roman was not going to lose. Roman doesn't really lose much to anybody outside of, his Samoan pals or maybe his buddies like Seth Rollins. Like, he's barely put anybody over. Like, in my opinion, he really needs to put over someone like Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker if people want to buy into them as main eventers. But, that's Roman for you. That's Roman for you. He doesn't really ever do the JOB to anybody. So, it was an alright opener. Yeah, sure, 21 minutes, but it was an alright opener. Just not the winners I wanted. Just not the right winners, in my opinion. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed definitely need this more than Roman and Jey, because I highly doubt Roman is sticking around. I highly doubt Roman will be sticking around because he's a part-timer. He doesn't really wrestle much. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, the allies of convenience, took on the Judgment Day of Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. This tag team match, was fine. It wasn't outrageously crazy. It wasn't like, OMG, it's so good, I want to see this again. Or downright bad. It was fine. It was fine. They were having Charlotte Flair take the babyface beat down. you know, being overwhelmed and eventually hot tagging Alexa. There were some good moments in this, but in the end, we get new tag team champions that Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair kind of recreate. And I say kinda because it's not exactly identical. It's kind of like a recreation of when Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns versus the League of Nations, when Bray Wyatt did the Sister Abigail and then did the point, and then Roman speared one of the League of Nations people. I can't remember who. It might have been Rusev. I don't really know, and I don't really care. It was like a recreation, but just slightly different. Like, Alexa just had Roxanne in the position. Charlotte runs, boots Raquel in the face, and then she hits the Abigail DDT for the 1, 2, 3. Alexa Bliss is now a 4-time Women's Tag Team Champion, while Charlotte Flair is a 2-time Women's Tag Team Champion. So there you go. So there you go. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss are the Allies of Convenience are the new Women's Tag Team Champions. I don't even know if that's even their name, but that's what their t-shirt says. They're not friends, they're just Allies of Convenience. So I guess that's probably what we should just call them. Cool. Nice to see Charlotte. Cool. Charlotte and Alexa are the champions, and for those who say veterans should not be winning championships over younger talent, you know, are probably upset. You know, someone like me, you'd think I'd be upset by this. I'm kind of not. Mainly because I didn't really want Roxanne to be tag team champion. She only had them just because they only gave it to her because the company is lazy. And also, having them win it at SummerSlam instead of Evolution is better, because just having them win at Evolution just because just felt rushed. So I think having Alexa and Charlotte here is a bigger deal. I would like Roxanne to move on. Well, there's two things I'd like to see. A, Roxanne leave the Judgment Day and move on as a singles competitor. And B, Roxanne challenge for Becky's Intercontinental or Naomi's Women's World Title. Or better yet, if they ever do a draft, which I highly doubt they will ever do because Triple H doesn't give a shit about the brand split, move Roxanne Perez to SmackDown. And then she could challenge Tiffany Stratton. You know? But yeah. It's funny, because I remember people saying that Charlotte Flair was going to get moved over to Raw, which hasn't happened yet. So, I mean, it could happen if the draft happens, but yeah, Charlotte and Alexa, new champions. I'm only giving this a positive because Alexa and Charlotte could elevate the titles. But that's only if Triple H actually puts the love and care into the belts. If Alexa and Charlotte just hold them for 2, 3, 4, 5 months with no title defenses, then just like your average title reign that happens nowadays with these belts, then they're not really elevating anything. So, not saying I'm trusting WWE. I have lost their trust a long time ago. But I'm just saying Charlotte and Alexa can elevate the belts if they are used and if they are defended. If they are used, if they are defended, and if they have storylines. But that's not going to happen because this is the Triple H Paul Levesque era. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. This match did not, under any circumstance, belong on SummerSlam. I'm sorry, it did not. This was the match I had zero interest in. The only people that would have been interested in this match are the very small amount of Karrion Kross fans. That's it. Those are the only people that would have cared about this match. The small amount of Karrion Kross fans. Those are the only people that would have cared about this match. Julia versus Zelina Vega deserved it to be on SummerSlam over this. Friggin' Judgment Day versus LWO deserved it to be on SummerSlam over this. Like, honestly, any of those two matches would have been better than this. But no, we had to get this garbage. Sami Zayn wins. I've got nothing to say. An absolute negative. This match did not belong on SummerSlam. Tiffany Stratton defends her women's championship against Jade Cargill. Honestly, this match was alright. It wasn't as botchy as I was expecting it to be, but it was under 10 minutes. It was under 10 minutes. They weren't given a lot of time. But it was fine for what it was. It was fine for what it was. I'll surprise everybody and give this a positive. And I will give a positive to Tiffany going over. Yes, I know I'm not the biggest Tiffany guy as much as everybody else is, but to be honest, I can at least tolerate Tiffany as champion over Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill, to me, is not ready. To me, Jade Cargill is nowhere near ready to be carrying a championship. She's not yet ready. She's nowhere near ready for that level yet. Sure, giving her a big opportunity on a big stage is going to be helpful for her, but I think Jade Cargill feuding with, Julia over the United States title and probably win that would be better for Jade. Not saying I want Julia to lose the title right now. I would much rather Julia stay champion for a while and have a dominant reign, but I'm just saying Jade Cargill would be a better challenger for Julia's title instead of the main title. Time for another match I didn't give two shits about, and I love Randy Orton, and that is Drew McIntyre and Logan Dickhead Paul taking on Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. I did not care for this match, and I cannot believe this match was given a video package. Of all the matches to get a video package, this match did. This match was given and when Jelly Roll made his entrance, the crowd did not care. He did not get a pop. He got as what the fans call it, a Zelina Vega reaction. Because literally no reaction. Because everyone likes to associate no popping to Zelina Vega because she doesn't get a reaction. So Jelly Roll got the Zelina Vega reaction. No one cared. People only cared when Logan Paul came out because obviously people like to boo him and Drew McIntyre. And obviously the crowd cheered when Randy Orton came out because again, people love Randy. This match went on for way too long. This match did not need to be 17 minutes. I would have shaved off most of the time on this match and gave half of it to Tiffany and Jade. I would have given half of it to Tiffany and Jade, so they could have actually done a whole lot more to really try and make Jade Cargill look like a potential star. But instead, this match was a bore fest. This match was boring. I didn't care. Jelly Roll was trying to prove he belongs in pro wrestling by starting off the match and trying to get in Drew's face and not backing down from Logan Paul. And he goes through the table. He potentially gets injured while Randy has to fight off Logan and Drew. And then he does the heroic thing. Tries to get back into the ring and try to complete the match despite his injuries. And no. Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul get the victory. And also, I hate the storyline reason they had this match. The storyline reason they had for this match was that Logan Paul calls Jelly Roll an outsider that doesn't belong in pro wrestling. Now listen here. Logan Paul has no room to talk. Logan's got no room to talk. There's no way you can tell me that Logan Paul is right. Logan Paul is an outsider. Logan Paul is also an outsider. He came from the land of YouTube. This man came from the land of YouTube. And for some reason, that doesn't count as him being an outsider. He is an outsider. I hear people say Logan Paul is a good wrestler, but yet we hate him, right? We hate him, but we're supposed to say he's a good wrestler? Please, give me a goddamn break. We're not supposed to praise the people we hate. We're not supposed to be praising the people we hate. If we do not like these people, why praise a person you don't like? It's so stupid to me whenever I hear people say, oh, you don't have to like Logan Paul, but you sure have to respect his work ethic. No way. I'm not respecting anything about this goon. And the fact that Randy Orton has to have another loss next to his name against a guy like Logan Paul, not only that Randy couldn't beat him at WrestleMania last year, WrestleMania 40 for the United States title, now Randy has to take another loss to this goon this year. I know Randy is selfless, and he will elevate people, but seriously, this is just stupid. This made me absolutely angry. I did not care for this match, and a absolute pitiful outcome as well. An absolute pitiful outcome. I do not want to see Jelly Roll again. Just stick to music, Jelly Roll. Just stick to music. You can be a pro wrestling fan, but just stick to your music, mate. You were not, he was, and also Jelly Roll was not good at all. He pulled off a good-looking boss man slam and a choke slam. Wow, great. I can pull off a choke slam. I can easily pull off a choke slam. Does that make me qualified to be a good wrestler now? Please. Just because he pulled off a couple of punches, a choke slam, and a boss man slam does not mean he had a great effort. You know, the commentators are saying, oh, he had a great effort, a great showing by Jelly Roll. No, it wasn't a great showing. Sure, he took some nasty bumps, like the table spot, but taking one big spot and pulling off a couple of good moves does not mean you belong in the land of pro wrestling. So, I'm done talking about this disastrous match. Absolutely atrocious. Main event time. CM Punk he can't defend. But CM Punk challenges Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, heading into this, I had a feeling CM Punk was going to win. I had a feeling heading into this, CM Punk was going to win. And I said this to myself. I said, look, if Gunther does lose here, I do not want to see him challenging for the World Heavyweight title anymore for the rest of the year. And not only that, I do not want him challenging any championship, not only for the remainder of 2025, but for the next several years. Because one of my biggest complaints was Gunther always being a champion. And look, I didn't have a problem with it at first when he was the UK champion. When he was the UK champion, they were establishing him as a dangerous threat. Okay, fair enough. When he was the IC champion, they were once again developing him as a dangerous threat. Okay, fine. I was okay with that. It was his main roster debut. So the best way to establish his main roster debut is to make him a dangerous threat. Okay, I was fine with that. His Intercontinental title run was fine. I was okay with it. But then he won the World Heavyweight title like several months after he dropped the IC title. Like several months after that, he was immediately shoved right into the world title picture and beat Damian Priest. While yes, Damian Priest wasn't the best World Heavyweight Champion you've ever seen, at least he was a refreshing champion, someone different. But then Gunther became World Heavyweight Champion, and Gunther's first world title reign was a shell of what his IC title reign was. It wasn't very good. And then they gave the title to Jey Uso, who organically got over. I know people don't like Jey, but he got over on his own. He organically got over. He got the yeet over, even though some people may say it's silly, but he got over, and he deserved his big win. He deserved his big win. And I had a feeling Jay's title reign was going to be transitional. I had a feeling he was going to be a transitional champion. But instead of passing the title off to somebody else, they just give it back to Gunther and then have Gunther just not defend his title until he fights Goldberg. So basically, they only made him world champion just for the sake of Goldberg. Just for the sake of Goldberg's match. You could have easily done Gunther versus Goldberg without the World Heavyweight title. But I guess not in the eyes of WWE. I guess not in the eyes of WWE. A title needed to be involved for that match to feel important. One other thing about Gunther, I'm kind of growing to really dislike it about his matches, and I know some people will say, well, it's the perfect pace for him, is that his matches are very slow. Now, it's not always like that. Gunther's not always like that with his matches. When he was the IC champion, his matches were fluid, fast, and really good. Fast-paced, pretty good. Sometimes he would slow it down sometimes. But the thing is, he's become so much like that over these years. All of his title matches is just, he has the advantage. He chops people. He taunts for like 5 minutes. He taunts for 5 minutes. He shows off. For 5 minutes. Does his little bullying kick where he's like kicking them in their heads, like he's taunting them, like he just toys with his opponents. He does that so often now. And you would think in his character development, you would think there would be a character development where he would learn to stop underestimating his opponents. Especially after what happened with Sami Zayn last year. You would think after the Sami Zayn incident, you think he would learn to not underestimate his opponents, but no, he continues to underestimate his opponents. You would think he would have learned. He underestimated Damian Priest and nearly lost. He underestimated Jey Uso and lost. He underestimated Pat McAfee, almost lost. And then he underestimates Goldberg, almost lost. And then he underestimates CM Punk and loses. He underestimates his opponents. He dominates his matches and he gets so cocky, so full of himself. And it gets to the point where I'm just like, does he have to do this in all of his matches? Where's the character development? Where's the character development where he would have learned from his past mistakes? It's almost like Triple H is just like, how many times is Gunther going to underestimate his opponents until it eventually catches up to him? He's done it 3 times now. Every time he underestimates his opponent, he loses. Yes, not all the time, but still. The 3 big important matches where he underestimates his opponent, he loses. Sami Zayn last year, Jey Uso this year, and now CM Punk. Where is his character development? Where's the character development where he will finally stop underestimating his opponents? Where's the character development, Triple H? Gunther has become so boring, and I hate to say that about Gunther, because he's one of my favorites. He is one of my favorite wrestlers. Definitely up there as one of my favorite wrestlers. But man, this match was so utter boring. It really was. So utterly boring. 30 minutes of a pure bore fest of a main event of just Gunther dominating, underestimating, taunting, toying with CM Punk. And then eventually, around about the end of the match, CM Punk gains the upper hand, Gunther begins to bust open, and that allows Punk to take advantage and delivers 2 go-to-sleeps, and that was enough, and he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. So there you go. Gunther loses the World Heavyweight Championship to CM Punk, and CM Punk is champion again. That is until Seth Rollins shows up. Seth Rollins comes out with his main event briefcase. He's on his crutches, and he's on his crutches as if he's selling that he's injured. But then Seth Rollins, as he turns away, He then removes his crutches, removes the injury on his leg. So what everyone was suspecting to be a fake injury and a troll became a reality. So doesn't this make this predictable in a way? Doesn't this mean this whole ending was predictable? That everyone knew Punk was going to win and then Seth was going to pull a troll? Doesn't that technically mean this was a predictable outcome because we all expected this? Now, to be fair, I thought Seth actually was injured. Sure, I saw all the reports and people saying that, oh, it could be fake, could be a fake injury. But at the end of the day, I thought to myself, well, if Seth really is faking an injury, and if what people are saying is true, let's see if it does happen at SummerSlam. Everyone's expecting he would cash in at SummerSlam. Let's see if it happens. And then it happens. So, in a way, doesn't that make this whole thing predictable? That we all knew this was going to happen? To me, that seems to be the case. To me, that seems to be, a predictable outcome. Everyone predicted this was going to happen. Oh, but predictability doesn't always mean bad. Being predictable doesn't always mean it's bad, Patrick. Knowing the outcome knowing the outcome is a bad thing. Knowing the outcome is a bad thing. It is a bad thing, to be completely honest. I don't understand how people think being a predictable doesn't always mean bad. I don't understand the whole concept of, oh, it being predictable doesn't doesn't always mean it's bad. What do you mean it's not always predictable? What do you mean it being predictable doesn't mean it's always bad? If you're right, you're right. If you're right, then it's bad. You knew what was going to happen. How does that mean it's not bad? Of course it's bad. But yeah, CM Punk won, and then Seth would cash in, and he was now the World Heavyweight Champion. He defeats CM Punk to win the World Heavyweight title. Yeah. We're really going to be dragging out this Seth Rollins CM Punk feud, huh? They have been feuding ever since CM Punk came back. So basically, this is becoming a nearly 2-3 year rivalry. Because let's not forget, these two have been feuding since CM Punk came back in 2023. So technically, this is about to become almost a 3-year rivalry. But yet, people say long-term storytelling is good. I'm sorry, but that's not the case for me, man. To me, a rivalry should be over with. Should not be dragging on for nearly 3 years. I'm sorry. But anyway, that is the end of this review, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next part where I go over the second night of SummerSlam.